Hey everybody, in this video we are going to study about tissue system in plants, which means to study the complete framework of plant. Here we have three different types of tissue system. The very first one is epidermal tissue system that helps to explain the external feature of the plant, the tissue involved to form the external body. Next one is ground tissue system that is considered to be the fundamental tissue system comprising all simple permanent tissues. And the last one is vascular tissue system that helps to explain the translocation of food, water and minerals in plants. Let's study the very first system, that is epidermal tissue system. So what is epidermal tissue system in plants? Basically it's the outermost portions of the plant which is covered by epidermis. So the outermost covering of the plant body comprises of epidermal tissue system, which is in the direct contact with the environment. This outer body of the plant is in the direct contact with the environment, external environment. Hence all the tissues that are in contact with the external environment are called the epidermal tissues. Now the epidermal tissue system comprises of three basic entities, that is epidermal cells, epidermal structures and finally epidermal appendages. We will study one by one all of them. First of all, let's see what is epidermal cells. So epidermal cells are the simple, we can say, parenchymatous cells or the simple living cells that covers the outermost portion of the plant body, which is in the contact with the external environment. And here we study mainly about the epidermis. This epidermis can be single layer in plant, it can be multi-layered as well. ठीक, तो जो एपिडर्मिस है प्लांट बॉडी की, हमें पता है कि सबसे आउटर ग्रीन पार्ट जो है प्लांट का, उसमें जो सेल्स होते हैं उसको एपिडर्मिस के सेल्स बोलते हैं और ये प्राइमरी प्लांट बॉडी का सबसे बाहरी पार्ट होता है, प्राइमरी प्लांट बॉडी का। जब सेकेंडरी प्लांट बॉडी आती है तो बार्क बन जाती है। इट कैन बी सिंगल लेयर्ड, इट कैन बी मल्टी लेयर्ड। मल्टी लेयर्ड के एग्जाम्पल में वी कैन गिव द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ फाइकस एंड नेरियम. Epidermal cells are basically the living parenchymatous cells that are having a cytoplasm and we can say a prominent nucleus as well. तो cytoplasm nucleus वाला सेल हैं living parenchymatous cells होते हैं. यहाँ पे जो हमारे पास epidermis होती है, it is covered by a waxy layer. It is having a waxy layer. जो वैक्सी थिकनिंग है उसको हम बोलते हैं क्यूटिकल. तो एपिडर्मिस की बाहरी जो सेल्स होते हैं इट्स यूजुअली कवर्ड बाय क्यूटिकल. क्यूटिकल इज़ अ वैक्सी लेयर विच इज़ मेड अप ऑफ सब्सटेंस कॉल्ड एज क्यूटिन. तो क्यूटिकल क्यूटिन से बनी होती है. हालांकि दिस क्यूटिकल इज़ फाउंड टू बी एब्सेंट इन रूट्स एंड हाइड्रोफाइट्स, यानी कि जड़ों में तो क्यूटिकल की ज़रूरत बिल्कुल नहीं है क्योंकि कोई एक्सटर्नल इंजरी या कोई एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट से एज सच कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती. और क्योंकि रूट्स का काम क्या होता है, मॉइस्चर एब्जॉर्ब करना, वाटर मिनरल्स की इनटेक करना, तो उसके लिए क्यूटिकल इज़ एब्सेंट इन रूट्स एंड हाइड्रोफाइट्स आर दी प्लांट्स दैट आर ग्रोइंग इन एक्वेटिक मीडियम. नेक्स्ट वी हैव सर्टेन मोनोकॉट लीव्स जहाँ पे बुल्लीफॉर्म सेल्स या मोटर सेल्स देखने को मिलते हैं, विच आर द स्पेशलाइज्ड एपिडर्मल सेल्स. दीज बुल्लीफॉर्म सेल्स आर लार्ज, एम्प्टी एंड कलरलेस सेल्स. हियर we can add that these cells are large, empty and colorless cells that helps in the rolling and unrolling of the leaves of monocots. Now let's see the other properties of epidermal cells, that is the presence of silica in the epidermis of many grasses. Also we can see the crystals of calcium carbonate in the epidermal cells, which is also called as lithocyst. We know that the root epidermis can also be called as epiblema, piliferous layer or rhizodermis. So these are the qualities and the features of epidermal tissue system that covers the outermost plant body. Now the second part in the epidermal tissue system is epidermal structures. The epidermal structure in plant is stomata, which is present in green leaves and young stem. We know that stomata is a kind of minute pore that is present on the surface of leaves and in the green parts of certain stems as well, both in monocot and dicot plant. The stomata is not found in roots for sure, because the function of stomata is mainly occur in leaves or the young stem of the plants, that is in gaseous exchange and transpiration. The singular form of stomata is stoma. We know it's a minute structure, and the stoma mainly consists of two parts, that is the guard cells and the stomatal aperture, or we can say the stomatal pore, the tiny stomatal pore. Here, the guard cells are having certain characteristics in the epidermal structure, that is, the guard cells are living cells. They have chloroplast, which means the guard cells can perform photosynthesis, and they also regulate the function of opening and closing of stomata. So, guard cells maintain the opening closing of stomata, and they are living cells having chloroplast. We are having two different types or shapes of guard cells in case of monocots and dicots. It can be bean shape or kidney shape in case of dicot, and it can be dumbbell shape in case of monocot plants. Here, let's make a diagram of stomata in case of both monocots as well as dicots. So here we are having this bean shape or kidney shape guard cells, which is surrounded by certain supportive cells, which is also called as subsidiary cells, and further there are epidermal cells present around them. So this whole comprises of a stomata in case of dicot, leaves or green stems. Here we are making this diagram. Now we can show the presence of chloroplast in circular forms as well. Now here we can see the thickening of the wall on the inner side in case of dicot stem or leaf having this kidney shape or bean shaped stomata. On the other hand, we have dumbbell shaped guard cells in case of monocots or grasses. The thickening is present on both the sides, so the cell wall is thickened on both the sides, which is cellulosic in nature. Now these dumbbell shaped guard cells are also surrounded by very supportive kind of cells that are subsidiary cells that are further surrounded by epidermal cells of the plant. So these are the diagrams of stomata in case of monocot and dicot plants. So first of all, these are guard cells, right? Both of them are guard cells. And secondly, they have chloroplast in both of them that can perform photosynthesis as well. Third, they are having a kind of subsidiary cells that helps to provide a supportive in nature. These are subsidiary cells. And now we are having the inner thick wall in case of kidney shaped guard cells, and the thick walls on the both sides in case of dumbbell shaped guard cells. Now this bean shape or kidney shape guard cell is present in dicots and dumbbell shape in monocots. So these are the structures of dicot and monocot stomata, right? Or we can say stoma. Now let's see the function of stomata or guard cells. So what's the major function? The major function of guard cell is opening and closing of stomata. How guard cells helps in opening and closing? If the guard cell is turgid, which means it's swollen, and at that point of time when the guard cell is turgid, it will keep the stomatal pore open, and if the guard cells are flaccid or in the shrunken condition, then the stomatal pore will remain closed. तो अगर गार्ड सेल फूला हुआ है तो स्टोमेटल पोर ओपन है, और गार्ड सेल अगर फ्लैसिड है या श्रंकन है तो स्टोमेटल पोर यहाँ पे क्या होगा, क्लोज मिलेगा. Next we have subsidiary cells, which are specialized epidermal cells, and we can also call them as accessory cells. Subsidiary cells are specialized epidermal cells that are also called as accessory cells, but they don't have any chloroplast. There is no photosynthesis. They are only known to provide support to the guard cells. So these cells surrounding the guard cells provide basically support to guard cells. So there is no photosynthesis in subsidiary cells. Okay, now let's see the function of stomata on the whole. Two major functions of stomata is, first of all, we see transpiration. The process of losing excess water from the plant body is called transpiration, done through the stomatal pore. The second one is gaseous exchange during photosynthesis. The intake of carbon dioxide and release of oxygen is done by stomata. The stomata are present in case of dicot leaf on the upper surface, like there is higher amount of number of stomata on upper surface of dicot leaves, while in case of monocot leaves there is equal number of guard cells on both the sides of the leaves. That is isobilateral conditions in case of monocot leaves. So this is all about the stomata, which is the epidermal structure. What is stomatal apparatus? Stomatal apparatus basically comprises of three sets, which is three basically cells. That is, first of all, we have guard cells and the stomatal pore. Stomatal apparature is the stomatal pore, right? It's the pore in the center. Then we have the guard cells, and in last we have the subsidiary cells. So these three together are known as the stomatal apparatus, right? So there we have all about epidermal structure. The last we have is the epidermal appendages. So what does epidermal appendages mainly comprises of? It comprises of the epidermal outgrowth present in case of stem and roots. The outgrowth from epidermis. Here we have this outgrowth present both on shoot and roots. In case of shoots, it's called the trichomes, and in case of roots, it's called the unicellular root hairs. Right. Now let's see one by one what are these. First of all, we have these trichomes. These trichomes can be unicellular or multicellular in structure, which are the epidermal outgrowth, and most of the time they are found to be unicellular. These trichomes can be branched or unbranched. They can be soft, they can be stiff. Right, these are the characteristic. Now there are certain functions that are done by trichomes. What are these functions? They help to prevent water loss due to transpiration, because there's hair-like structures present on the stem that helps to prevent the loss of water due to transpiration. And secondly, they cover the surface and hence prevent evaporation by blocking the flow of air. So these are the functions mainly performed by trichomes on the stem. Another major function performed by trichome is secretion. That is very important line to note, that trichomes are known to perform secretions, and that too in insectivorous plants. They secrete certain kind of secondary metabolites that are defense mechanism of the plant, like phenolic compound, glycosides. These are certain secretory substances. These are the sticky secretion that helps to trap insect for killing and obtaining nutrition, mostly in case of insectivorous plants. So these are the functions performed by trichomes on shoots. Trichomes on shoots or green stems. Next we have unicellular root here, which always remain unicellular. First of all, Second, it helps in absorption of minerals and water from the soil, and very important function is that it helps to increase the surface area for absorption by roots. So it increases the surface area for absorption. They help to absorb nutrition and minerals from the soil. So these are the functions of epidermal appendages, that is trichomes and root hairs. Now we have these three mainly portions in epidermal tissue system, that is epidermis, epidermal structure, epidermal appendages. Let's see the function of epidermal tissue system now. So the major function is, first of all, protection. This epidermal tissue system, the covering of the plant, provides protection from external injuries, from excessive evaporation, and from the solar light, from the solar radiations, like the scorching solar radiations. With the help of cuticle trichomes that is present on its surface. We know that the epidermis is covered by cuticle and trichome sometimes. The next important function is secretion, as we have seen in the trichomes. In case of trichomes, they help to secrete sticky secretion. So these are the secretions which is done by trichomes. These secretion can include mucilage, latex, tannins, resins, gums, oils, so phenolic compounds obviously. So these are some kind of sticky secretions which is secreted by trichomes that helps to obtain nutrition in case of insectivorous plants. Third is gaseous exchange, which is also done by epidermal tissue system with the help of stomata, that we know. Next is the control of transpiration by the presence of cuticle and trichomes. We can see the stomata play important role, cuticle and trichome. These three structures helps to prevent or control transpiration at least. The next one is absorption of water and minerals from roots with the help of root hairs. So these are the functions of epidermal tissue system. Next we will study about the ground tissue system. So I hope that you like this video, and if you did, then please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thank you so much.